Today we're painting spring, and we've chosen a painting bicycle, a classical image of spring coming in, a bicycle with a basket full of flowers. We're not going to paint the whole bicycle, we're going to paint just the part of it, so one wheel, the frontal one. So I suggest you choose somewhere maybe a bit less than the middle of the paper to mark like the position of our wheel. And we're going to do the circle. And it's also pretty much stylish. It looks when not the whole wheel is in. So for example, if you have something round, you can also place like maybe a plate. Yeah, if it's easier for you. Or as a true painter, you can go and create a circle. So I definitely can go out of my borders where the tape is. So it's easier for me to create a circle. Again, doesn't have to be perfect since it's down. And when the first line is done, the second one will be easier. The second one is basically just repeating the first. So you go a bit in. If, for example, your first circle got too little, then of course you can do the second line on outside. But if you took it big enough, then from inside. So this is the composition adjustments we do on the go. Next one, try to find the center. So where would be the center of your wheel? Yeah, and we place a smaller circle. From there, the lines are going to be coming to the outside, and we can create different again, if you feel more comfortable, of course, use ruler. But I think also by hand, it looks even a bit, sometimes a bit more like vivid, authentic. Doesn't also have to be all the parts the same size. I mean, real bicycle there probably are, but yeah, we create more interesting romantic. So dividing just like a bit like a pizza slice, our wheel. Okay, after the wheel, we are doing the rest of the structure. So the first and easiest thing is the rain, the dirt protector. So again, easy, we kind of doubling the line of our wheel, but not completely, just a little bit in one side, like not till the end, the others. So it's actually, there was one interesting experiment. To different people on the streets came people as a questionnaire, and they asked them to draw a bicycle. And it was surprisingly that even if many people can ride a bicycle, but when it was coming to drawing it and connecting both wheels and the middle part, some people struggled, and they drew the connections the way that the bicycle wouldn't ride this way. We're going to finish the pencil sketch. I'm going to show you the quick system. I'm going to show you. So, like in this our drawing, we are doing just the part of bicycle. But if I would want to draw real bicycle, so basically there are two wheels, and then we can put the centers in the wheels, and then they are getting connected. And so there is the generally there is this kind of also triangle in the middle. But then it's important that here it is connected to the frontal wheel. It's connected just like with the parts we're going to do here. But this system, it has the chain, and then there is the seat, and there is the part we got. So many people, the mistake many people did, for example, they would connect from here till here, yeah. And then if you do the line here, then the bicycle wouldn't, like it couldn't turn and so on. So, but it's just curious how many objects we have in our life, and we don't really think how they are made, how we use them. So it's always curious to explore. Okay, I'm going to leave this little sketch here. So here it will be easy. So we're going to create this connection from the center of the wheel up to the wheel, to the where we guide. And basically it's also always a little bit on the like a little bit like a diagonal, say. So like double line, diagonal going back. What else we can do for the other parts? We can plan a little bit our basket. So just to fill the size how we want it, and then to finish the other parts. So typical basket shape, a bit more straight. And we can create a little bit of the woven effect as if it's made. Yeah, a little bit like a chess. I did this. So first I did all horizontal lines. That was easy. And then I just added the shorter lines and in a chess. And of course, we want to be realistic. So of course we can maybe create some little connection like here. Yeah, so the basket is where it's holding. Yeah, of course, check so you have enough space on top for the flowers. The flowers, I suggest we're gonna do maybe directly with the brush. So maybe no need to sketch them now. Unless you want, unless you feel unsure, of course, we can do them with the pencil. And, okay, very little things are left. So basically the upper part where we hold our hands, they are very different. This is like how it looks more on the old bicycle. Yeah, it's a bit more like metal, curvy part. Yeah, and this one will be black. And the other thing is then the connection to the rest of the bike. We can do that like this. Yeah. Maybe a bit thicker, so the bicycle feels more stable. Like so this is pretty much like our basic drawing. What things would be important to remember and mark? So when we are drawing metallic things, they are shiny, and to make on our drawing them look like metal, we need to show these highlights. Yeah? So those shiny parts. So already even now we can kind of mark where they're gonna be. Yeah, and usually they repeat the shape of the thing. So for example, if it's the circle here inside of the wheel, it's gonna be like half of the circle. So it's gonna be like, this is gonna be like lighter, even white. This will be the color of the bicycle. Yeah? The protector of the, yeah, it's also gonna have like this line. So again, this line is gonna be white, and then the color of the bicycle. Yeah, and basically, you know, also like in this part, yeah, those are like details, but they give nice thing that kind of we understand the metal. Of course, sometimes it can be thinner. Maybe this vertical we make a bit less. So it's like little worms that we kind of place. And highlight usually is white. So even if the object is red or black, so highlight is the place where the light falls under the angle of 90 degrees. And there it creates this very bright part. And then the other parts already the colors go. So let me know, girls, if you want to sketch the flowers. I'm also, of course, take all the time you need to finish all the bicycle parts. And then we decide together if we're sketching flowers or we go brave and do them with the brush.
I think I'm going to do mine with the brush.
What about you, Ellie?
Same.
Awesome. I like it. That sounds a confident artist. Cool. So what else we can do before we move to the paint? As usually, I like to lighten up a bit my drawing. I'm still not sure which color I'm taking for the bicycle, but if for some example, I decide to take some light color, blue, light blue, or so I don't want this pencil to be too strong. So remember, not, of course, we're not erasing completely, but we're lightening up. Because actually, like the pencil also influences. Like if I go to the areas where it's going to be yellow, then the yellow gets a bit dirty. The parts where we know that are going to be black, like the wheel or this handler, you can of course leave the. And of course we blow away very well all the eraser leftovers, or with the clean dry brush. We don't want them when we go with the water. Yeah, do your preparations. I'm just going to explain a little bit the plan. So this time we're going to go from the background to the object. So often background is left as the last one, but today we're going to practice the way that we do really watery, really transparent layer of the light blue. Maybe you want light yellow, so think about like something neutral, light color. And we're gonna mix it very light, almost as a puddle. And we're gonna cover like completely. That's why it's important that the color is really light, because then on top we're gonna be putting all other elements with a thicker paint. Yeah? Of course, if you want, you can maybe avoid a little bit the flower zone. But if your mix is going to be liquidish enough, then you can do on top any part. The only thing, maybe we try to save those white lines, those white worms of the metal parts that we were talking about. Yeah. Although if they're also a little bit like bluish, it's not. So I'll start so you see what I mean. So I have my paint, I have my water, and I'm really making a puddle here. If you want, you can also add white, but generally you don't really need white if you're making a really, so I actually need little paint. So you see, I've placed the paint, but I took just a little bit of it and I'm making puddle. And of course, take bigger brush so it's easier. And also move maybe to a bit bigger brush. And just like this, you see? So I can go on top of my bicycle. And it's fine if it's not perfectly like even, some were a bit darker, some were a bit lighter. Although you will notice that putting the paint that watery is actually kind of easy because it's the water, it floats, and you don't really need that much brush moves. And this is something I noticed that some young artists, when they're learning to paint, they like this ability to make the paint very light, very liquidish. Yes, they would put it like always more thicker. So of course, some elements, for example, like the basket, the shape is easy. I can basically go around. But of course, if I want, I can also cover it. This is also the thing that doing a background like this, then I don't really need to be careful about lines. The border, I just make this base tone. And that's it. And then on top, I can make and of course, we let it dry a bit. Yeah, so very, very light. So here, what plays in the game, the whiteness of the paper that we have. So this works only with the first layer. Well, in general, the layering technique is always putting those kind of half transparent layers. And what happens, like with the first one, we have our paper white. So the whiteness also kind of shines through and helps. If I have already something painted, then I can also work with this layering technique. For example, I have something dark, and I can put a watery layer of white. This, for example, when I messed up a little bit and I want something lighter, I can also use this kind of puddle, the white color, put on top, let it dry, and then my dark blue will be lighter. And so on. Artists work a lot with this layering. In watercolors especially, since they are transparent, but also, of course, with other mediums. So working with acrylics or watercolors, feeling amount of water is very essential. So choosing how wet is my brush, how wet is my paper. We know often that we use the dry brush technique, almost no water, and then the brush leaves kind of the brush strokes, leaving the texture. And when we want like some plain, if I say making the background sky, I make it more watery, then it's easier. No brush stroke. Basically, if your mix is watery enough, covering should be pretty much also quickly. Aha, perfect. Nice. Good job, Ellie. Yeah. You see, now you can easily work on top. Then in the end, we don't have to go around the stuff. We do on top. Next things, we're going to do the basket. So we're changing for the smaller brush. And this one we're going to do pretty much dry. So we want to show the texture of the basket. And what the way we're going to do it, so when we've sketched it, we've divided it into like different segments. So one of them, we're going to do like horizontal strokes, and the other ones, we're going to do the vertical strokes. Yeah, and again, in the chess order, and like this, we're going to create. Juliet, are you also ready to move to the basket? Cool. So of course, I wet a little bit my brush, so like it's ready to work. But I remove the excess of water, either touching the glass or touching the paper, the napkin. And I take the brown color. Again, if you feel your mix is too wet, you can also like strike a little bit with a napkin, so to remove excess of water. And for example, you can choose first and do all the horizontal. It's fine and it's good. You are leaving the, there are leaving some white, some lighter elements. Yeah. And then I'm gonna go and do all the vertical part. And it's really good. Some of them turning out darker, some of them turning out lighter. Then your basket looks vivid. What would also be important, not to forget about the light and shadow theory. So of course, say if the bicycle is outside, we have the sun shining from the top. So definitely the bottom of the basket will be a little bit darker. So I can even unite a little bit the bottom parts of the basket, make them dark. Like gently, so just. And pretty much we can easy. It's actually also not easy to master the dry brush technique. Again, because sometimes the brush is too wet and then it's just not leaving those brush strokes. And basically all you need to do is just swipe it a bit with the, like this horizontally. Yeah, just like horizontally, with paper towel, removing the excess, and then you can go and do the. Now the individual task of choosing the color of the bicycle. So you're the owner, you can have your bicycle any color you want. Of course, I suggest taking some bright, some springy colors. It can even be the same blue you've used for the sky, but if you're now going to use it with less water, more thick the paint, it's not going to look nothing like your sky. So they're not going to be like mixed up. No? Maybe you want it to be green. I don't know, I'm struggling between blue and purple. Okay, maybe I'm going to go for purplish. Pink is cool, like really, whatever your mood is today, you go for it. And of course, we need a small brush for this, because also don't forget we have those highlights of the metal, yes, that we want to leave white. And for this, for example, it's good to have like in between, not too dry, not too wet, the mix. Because again, if I make it too wet, if I make too much water, then the paint is not thick enough and it won't cover nicely. Then I just need to go like 2 times. It's actually is also fine. But if you want to do it from the first hand, so just 1 time coloring, then it should be thick enough. But to go in those all little areas, so I need to keep this highlight, and then I need to also do the line. So in this case, also having it not too dry as we did the basket is helpful. Yeah, the thin lines are made when the brush is more, it's a bit more wet. Yeah, so you see, it is the importance of the water amount. And of course, don't worry if somewhere, for example, your highlight disappears, like by okay, like maybe you cover it, or you say, oh, my brush is not too small, so it's too big and I just can't do this. Remember, you can always then go and put a little bit of white later on top. Yeah? There is nothing that a true artist can't fix. And since also the highlights, they're usually not like all along, right? So they can be shorter. course, in making thin lines, the brush plays a big role. Just having a thin brush, of course, helps. So basically, are those three parts. And also the holder of the basket. Although the holder can actually be also maybe black or something. Yeah. And once like you do, and then you can also, if you want, like go and do the second layer in some areas, so it looks thicker. Yeah, so definitely looks different from the background. The black parts of the bicycle, I suggest we leave to the end, but just because the black color is always that strong, messy, and we want to work with the lighter ones. Yeah, also for brushes to be cleaner, for water to be cleaner. Here you can also have possibility to make your bicycle like a bit thicker. So if you feel the size kind of a bit too thin, it's no problem here to How it looks, girls. Ready to move for the flowers? Hey, yellow one. Very nice. And the big size of paper. Good job. Wow. Oh, and you did also already the blackish lines. And they turned out very thin. That's cool. And Ellie's one. Ooh, okay. Red color bicycle. Super. And blue background. Awesome. Okay. So basically what we left the flowers and the black parts of the bicycle. So since we've decided we did no pencil sketch, we're doing freely flowers, and we want to give our painting this airy feeling. So we're gonna move pretty much free with the brush. I'm gonna prepare pink color for like the main flowers. And then maybe I'm gonna have a bit of the yellowishy spots and then green for leaves. And let's step by step. So remember, if you want pink, you take more white, less red. If you already have pink, you take pink straight, which you have. Again, here, the mix should be pretty much not too watery. Yeah? So then the strokes of our flowers are from the first time pretty much thick. And basically we can do so a very simple shape of the flower. So also choose the brush that is comfortable for you to work with, like small details. And so I can do maybe the center, and I can do like those curvy, so a bit like maybe rose shape or something. Later we can add, so we create those pinky ones now. So it's like basically a lot of half circles go around. So I started in one part, and then it will be like one half circle around, and like this I fill in. Yeah. And it's good to have a bit of emptinesses. Then we will add maybe a bit of reddish inside so it looks darker. And you can definitely do flowers like also outside. Yeah, it's gonna look good. Maybe some petals falling. Yeah, and of course, some flowers bigger, some smaller, some flowers like several close to each other. And then it always looks good. And after this pinky, you go and take reddish and add a bit of the reddish strokes. Ready, maybe not so much, but then it feels a little bit of like shadings. Yeah. And also that, for example, now I'm making them a bit bigger, the flowers, so I actually have less space in between. Because of course, then I have to fill up here with green leaves, maybe some other color of flowers. Of course, you can do the flowers also different colors. But as the next step, I suggest we add green leaves. And then you can decide if you have lots of space left, then you add maybe a bit more flowers or the other color of flowers. And I take light green because it's kind of spring. All the green colors are still white. It's not the dark green already of the summer or the autumn. Wash your brush well if you're using the same brush after the red flowers. Because remember, red and green are complementary colors that give brown. Yeah? So also white, remember the color used to stick there in the metal part. So be careful. And again, pretty much take the amount of paint and very easy typical shapes of the leaves. Yeah, like the say the pointy, somewhere sticking out from the also going on top of the basket looks cool. Kind of covering a little bit the like somewhere in between. Of course, I can just fill up with green. So not everywhere I need to do the leaf shape. So if there is some areas in between flowers, I just put green and it fills their leaves in. And then it's kind of your personal choice. If you add flowers of other colors, like for me now, I'm kind of happy with my flowers. I don't want to ruin them with more colors in between. I think I'm going to leave it like this. But definitely go with more if you have like more empty spaces in between. And the good option is to go with the type of flowers. I'm going to show you here on the side. For example, you can also take maybe purple or something. The one that is like more, so maybe something a bit like lavender type or something like this. Yeah, it can be. And basically it consists of small dots, and then you create some shapes. So then it gives like, it fits nicely in between. And yeah, instead of making flowers, again, the same shape, but different color. Yeah, and for example, let's say here were our row. What else can be like adjusted by by individual choice? Butterfly. Of course, butterflies are also a very cool and sweet thing to add as a spring. Maybe it's sitting on the bicycle, kind of taking a ride. But first, I'm going to finish up with the black parts, and then I'm going to decide, because I still feel I have some like emptinesses. So maybe like either my bicycle should have been a bit bigger, but so maybe in some empty areas, painting, I can add butterfly or a bee. First, I'm going to do these parts here, so then it looks completed. Yeah, black also actually gives a nice touch. And so this shows us that we need always both light and dark colors. If you make whole painting only light colors, then it doesn't look interesting. Remember, you can also play a little bit with the texture on the on this wheel part. Yeah, so maybe instead of just covering it black, you can have it again, those brush strokes. Okay, my painting. Well, I still feel I want to do some bee or butterfly. Again, so for example, the lines inside the wheel. So either you do it confidently with the brush, using the pencil, ink pen, marker is also fine. So I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take off the tape, and then it's gonna also look better to see if I need something else to add. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for maybe even 2 butterflies. And I feel I'm liking a bit of yellow color. So for example, Juliet went with a yellow background. And I think it's also always a good option because it makes like sunny, yeah, the feeling warm. Light blue is also fine, but of course it's colder than the yellow color. And like any color is colder than the. So I'm gonna add some orangey butterflies with a bit of yellowish. I'm also make this my orange also lighter. So I'm gonna mix it with yellow. Now just choosing the position where butterfly is gonna be. What's also nice, I like doing is taking 2 colors on the brush, but like not mixed. And so they mix more as you paint. You can do more exercises in those also in the future. Okay, share my first butterfly. And I do the other one is similar, but just maybe also smaller. So if you're having doubts of doing butterfly like straight away, practice first somewhere like side. Basically, butterfly is just like 4 wings. Upper wings are bigger. The wings are at the bottom smaller. And then you add the, yeah, with butterflies looks, maybe even one more. Clean. Yeah. I'm gonna be unstoppable with butterflies. I'm not gonna make them too much. Our springy painting for today. Ooh, looking cool. Very nice. Looking with the flowers. You have some writing there at the bottom. Did you wrote something there? Huh?
It says spring is sprunging.
Ooh, lovely. What about you, Billy? Hey, cool. I love how the leaves are falling down. Makes the feeling of the bicycle move. Yeah. Awesome. Good job, Ellie. Good job, girls. Lovely. Springy feeling, springy mood. And we meet then next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, girls.